So, I want to offer my revised opinion on the subject of Breonna Taylor. And I'm going to state it very simply so that the people who want to devolve into demented screeching can do that, and the people who want to sit and listen like fully functioning adults can do that. And my new position on Breonna Taylor is I no longer care about Breonna Taylor. So, this case, the reason why is this case, even more so than George Floyd has really taken a back seat lately. But there are a lot of problems with how the media portray things. But one of the big ones is that they seem to go off half cocked, and we end up they present like an initial story that is then subsequently demonstrated to be false by subsequent bits of information. The big thing that happened with George Floyd was that the body cam footage was released, and the body cam footage shows a more complete picture of what happened. Indeed, George Floyd was already showing signs of the fentanyl overdose before he laid down on the ground. Now, to be very clear, I still don't believe that police should kneel on people's necks. That should absolutely be done away with. And I think Derek Chauvin acted inappropriately. That I'm not negating that at all. But what I'm saying is there's a tremendous a great deal more amount of information that comes out that actually serves to hinder the process of justice, because now this information may actually allow Derek Chauvin to walk on the charge of second-degree murder. So he may have been charged incorrectly. If he had been charged with some kind of, a lesser crime of, say, gross criminal negligence or some kind, that still would have put him in jail for years and years and years, and there still would have been justice. So the new information keeps coming out that keeps revising the position. With George Floyd, the body cam footage was a singular important piece of information that we needed to have. With Breonna Taylor, the amount of scrutiny, and scrutiny should be a good thing, but there's something here where something's happening here, and I'm sure there's a term for this philosophically, or, it's not moving the goalpost or something like that, but there's a term for it that I don't know, which is that it's like the more information we get, the more difficult it becomes to process or analyze what happened. And on top of that, there are, where I find myself, and this is why I get to the I no longer care position, there are just attack dogs for every position you could have. Whatever position you take on Breonna Taylor, somebody is going to come at you with, "Oh, so you think blah," And it's literally impossible to have this is something new that we're getting into as a society. We have gone from specific groups with specific grievances, perhaps overstepping their bounds and how they respond to their critics, to just a general melee of everybody is evil if they don't agree with your perspective. That's literally where we are, and so now we find ourselves in a world where it's about more than Breonna Taylor. It's about trying to figure out who we can demonize and who we can go after. So, as the new information emerges, when I made my initial statement that she was a victim of a hate crime, literally I was, like so many people, it was a knee-jerk thing where I was working off of the headline that comes out, "Police shoot sleeping black woman 20 times in her bed." Then it comes out that she wasn't in bed. Oops-a-daisy. Then, but then it doesn't. We still don't get the full picture of why they were there, what was happening with the boyfriend, and then we find out that the boyfriend did this, or who shot first? Did the boyfriend shoot first? Did the police shoot first? Did Han shoot first? And then, and did they execute a no-knock warrant? Did they not execute a no-knock warrant? And we can't even. It seems like there can't even be any consensus on what these facts actually are. It's funny, I was watching Michael Malice's interview on the Babylon Bee recently, And he had a good point about the no-knock warrant thing. He said they say that the justification for a no-knock warrant is that they will flood. You know, if they know that the police are coming, they'll flush the drugs down the toilet. We'll turn their water off. You know, that kind of thing. And but at the same time, you know, there were things that he was saying, little things that I knew contradicted what I had heard about what was going on with this case. And it's literally to a point where we can't. It's impossible to talk about what actually happened in this case because so much about what kind of person you are hangs in the balance of where you stand on this case. You know, there are these two warring factions surrounding this case. One of these warring factions on the, you know, basically on the American right says, nothing happened here, everything is perfect, the system is not flawed in any way, shape, or form, oh beautiful for spacious skies. And then there's the perspective on the left that says, we're going to do, this is just proof that everybody's racist, and the only thing that can solve racism is socialism. But it's going to work this time because black people will be in charge. That's literally these two wacko bullshit sides that you have to choose from. You know, whatever perspective you take, you have to swear your allegiance to one of these sides. We can't, there's no way to just talk about what's going on in this actual case. And this is why, this is the problem with that attitude, that phrase, the personal is political. Politicizing everything to the point that we can't actually have a discussion about what actually happened. It's okay for one group of people to think that Breonna Taylor was knee-deep in a drug cartel. It's okay for another group of people to think that she was an innocent bystander in what was otherwise what was otherwise a police raid. It's okay to think that all of these perspectives, we can have these perspectives. We can all have these perspectives, and the world will not end. And so, literally, and what made me think about this was the other day, I saw a news blast on Twitter about how the police knew going into the raid that the suspicious packages were coming from Amazon. And I just looked at that and thought, next week we're going to find out that's incorrect. There is no, I mean, I swear it's only going to be a matter of time before we start seeing, like, graphs, you know, people making graphs describing where every bullet went in the apartment or something. I mean, it's going to be, and people for and against Breonna Taylor in this regard. And it's because, again, it's impossible to talk about what happened here with any kind of objectivity because the discussion is so clouded with it's so clouded with either the system is perfect on one hand or black people will make socialism work on the other hand. And both of these things are completely and totally absurd. Nothing. The system is not perfect, and the system is not irredeemably flawed. Nothing is perfect, and we have to work together to make things better. And that used to not be a radical avant-garde statement. That didn't used to be written off as a cop-out. That was supposed to be what we were actually about as a country. And we have no mission statement as a country anymore. So, yeah, when I hear new shit about Breonna Taylor, this is my position. I don't care. I'm done trying to take a side on this. I'm done trying. It's just like, it's kind of like one of the reasons I didn't like Fallout New Vegas is because they had so many possible endings, so many possible outcomes, that if you pursued one possible outcome, like if you go down this path of helping out this group of people, then the game will start telling you that this group of people hates you, and this group of people hates you, and this group of people hates you, and it's like, and you start to think like, okay, how do I even... There's no way to suss out what the right thing to do is here. It's just helping, screwing over these people to help this people, or these people to help these people, and no concept of a moral high ground ever emerges, which I think may have been the point the game was trying to make. But it's just not it's just not fun to play when the game when the you every action you take you have to click through 1,000 OK screens of telling you all of the tribes and all of the populous civilizations that now hate your guts because you shot this person. He shot this person. Now all these people hate your guts. That's literally where we are with the Breonna Taylor thing. It's like you take this perspective on it. Oh, well, all of these people hate you. You take this perspective on it. Well, all of these people hate you. And I'm sorry, but this issue has become about so much more than it should have ever been. If you want to solve the problem, you have to look at the facts and figure out what the problem was first. We live in a world now where people, instead of figuring out what the problem is, people bring their pet cause to the situation and start trying to justify how the situation bolsters their cause. I honestly cannot formulate an opinion on whether or not I cannot take a position on Breonna Taylor, because the minute I do, there are going to be 10,000 people that jump on me to prove that she was this criminal, part of a criminal syndicate, drug syndicate, or there will be 10,000 people jump on me to talk about, or to descend on me about what a sweet, wonderful, innocent human being she was. Or there will be 10,000 people that jump on me about how all cops are racist, and this was obviously cops acting out of racism. Or there will be 10,000 people that jump on me saying that the boyfriend was acting in self-defense because what the cops did was wrong, or this or that. Everybody's just bringing their favorite jerk-off problem to this issue to get angry about it. I have no idea. What is the correct perspective on Breonna Taylor? I don't know. What reforms or changes to the system, if any, need to happen? I don't know. What kind of person was Breonna Taylor? I don't know. What kind of drug business was she involved in? I don't know. The only thing I can tell you, the one and only thing I can tell you, is that I do think that we need to end the war on drugs. That's the only hard position I can take in any of this. End the war on drugs. It's not going to matter. There's all of this crap about, crack cocaine is prosecuted worse than powder cocaine, and that's supposed to be proof that the black community is targeted by the police, when in reality powder cocaine is the same classification of drug as crystal meth, and white people are disproportionately the users of crystal meth, and they are disproportionately targeted for abuse of that drug. All of these discussions can go the fuck away if we just end the war on drugs. That's the only we end the war on drugs, none of this shit ever would have happened. But we've got the problem. The reason that can't be the overarching solution is because now we have all of these people that are determined that we can only solve the problem if everyone thinks the same way. If everyone, it's literally, I look at it and I say, yeah, in the war on drugs, this kind of problem stops occurring. And they say, yeah, but cops are having these thoughts in their head, or black people are having these thoughts, or white people are having these thoughts, and all of these things. Like, I'm sorry, but you are, if we're going to survive as a country and as a species, we're going to have to pry your precious little fingers off the idea that you can force everyone to think the same way. It's just like we have all of these people now that are coming up with imaginary genders, and it's like, look, we're not going to call you a quadriflagel just because you think you're a quadriflagel. And I know there are Amazonian tribesmen in Lithuania who acknowledge the existence of 93 genders, one of which is the quadriflagel, and you think that me being a white male is speaking from privilege because I won't acknowledge the existence of the quadriflagel. To which my response is, fuck off before I kick you in your quadriflagel. And by the way, that was not a threat of violence against trans people, because the quadriflagel is some bullshit word that I made up right now, and I will threaten violence against all the imaginary things that I want. That includes the quadriflagel and the flamwhammabuzzle. Especially the flamwhammabuzzle. Gas those motherfuckers. Anyway. But this is the wacko world we live in now. And the cultural origin of this problem is very simple. All things are discussed, all opinions now are discussed via the internet, established via the internet, challenged and revised via the internet, and the internet does something very specific. It is a very specific sociological phenomenon. Namely, it is an environment where we can all express as much anger and as much rage and as much fury as we want without the potential for an immediate physical altercation. There's somebody out there that's seeing this video right now and wishing they could punch me. It may be one of the... there are more than a few people among my 7,200 some odd subscribers who absolutely hate my guts but can't seem to stop watching my videos. And, they probably are just by the sound of my voice, the tonality of my voice is just getting under their skin, and they actually like that. It's just a big psychological jerk-off session for the fact that they are so enraged and so full of hatred at the sound of my voice, or the fact that I didn't shave, or the fact that my hair is frizzy because it's hot in here, or the fact that I did this in my bedroom, or the fact that I have an Apple eye pencil and they don't, or the fact that I've got a cat sitting here, or something. There's just something, or I have my bathrobe hanging from the door, or this lamp has an orange shade or something. I mean, they are just pissed off about something right now, and they're wishing they could punch me. They're wishing they could deck me. And that's the reality of what's happening here. That's the sociological reality of what's happening. We live in an environment where everyone gets insanely enraged and insanely pissed off at their computer screen, and they can't do anything about it. And consequently, everybody is they're not just at 10, they're at 10 billion all the time. We are no longer capable as we're no longer capable as a species of just having thoughtful discussions and walking away from it. Everybody has to be demonized about everything all the time. Facebook and Twitter have just... It's funny, the internet now, like literally the internet, I don't know about y'all, but the internet for me is about 5 websites. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and, maybe Wikipedia or some other, various news sites, that kind of thing. So about 5 websites total is the whole internet now. And Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, these are just psychological battlegrounds now. Everybody is immediately wrong and angry about everything all the time. And, I'm at a point in my life where I'm just having to stop and think about what's best for me. And what's best for my thinking and my psychology. Because, and I don't owe anyone any justification for why. The fact that I need to be in good mental health should be all the justification that's required. In a sane, decent society, that should be all that's required. So, when it comes to things like Breonna Taylor, y'all just figure your shit out and leave me alone. Because there is no way, with the way information is disseminated now, there is no way to come to an accurate understanding of these things. So, do I think that Breonna Taylor is some kind of criminal warlord? No. Do I think that she's a perfectly saintly human being that ought to have all of these paintings done of her? No. She is neither a martyr or a villain. She's just a person who ended up in a very sad and very unfortunate situation. And things are never going to get better. Things will never get better so long as our primary prerogative is figuring out who to hate. And what happens is people want to try to find a middle ground on this subject by casting a wider net, by saying, oh, well, it's a broken system. We're not blaming any one person, it's a broken system. And the thing is, the United States, at its worst, functions at about a B+. And that's what nobody wants to say. Nobody wants, it's like, on the one hand, the people on the left don't want to acknowledge that the United States functions at about a B+. They want it to be, they want to make the argument that it functions at an F. That it's always functions at an F. And they have this weird concept that they will try their damnedest to make some kind of case that slavery as practiced by the United States was somehow different from slavery that was practiced all over the world, even though the same slave drivers that were that were running the West African slave trade were exporting African slaves all over the rest of the world too. That's a whole other topic. But they're convinced that the country it gets an F no matter what. And then there's all these people on the right that think that the country gets an A+ no matter what. No, it gets about a B+. We've got 350 million people that are living a whole fuck of a lot better than people in North Korea, than people in Afghanistan, than people in Zimbabwe. We've got 350 million people that are doing better than that. And I would even wager that our homeless population is doing better than most people in Zimbabwe. But we have a homeless population. We have people that are living way below the poverty line. We have people that are living in extraordinarily bad conditions. The difference is we have the potential for them to live better. Like, I loved what Jordan Peterson said in defense of capitalism, that capitalism produces inequality, but it also produces wealth. All the other systems just produce inequality. And so that's where it's at. We're not perfect. We're not irrevocably flawed. As Marilyn Manson said it so perfectly recently, we're sick, fucked up, and complicated. So let's focus on getting well. And stop trying to use Breonna Taylor as a vector for, as a vector for our negative feelings towards one another. And I know that there is one perspective, one argument that's going to be made when I say something like this, which is, oh, so you don't care about Breonna Taylor. Well, just imagine how black people feel. They don't get the choice to not care. Okay, stop a minute. I know that there is some cryptorchid soy boy SJW out there that is going to come pester me with that shit. And you want to know why I don't do your little mental exercise of stopping and thinking about how black people see it? You know why I don't do that? I don't ever try to put myself in the perspective of a black person or something like that. You know why? Because there are millions and millions and millions and millions of black people in this country alone. Millions and millions and millions and millions of black people. And to say that one singular perspective and one singular thought process can entirely encompass everything that's going on in the lives and the hearts and the minds of all those people is racist. Have a nice day.